from the Southland, 1 week at a time. SCV Chat starts now.
So anyway, I told her, look here. Oh, wait, we're live. Sorry, I was talking about my sister. I love her to death, but, you know, she's a fun topic of conversation from time to time.
Just
Anyway,
a couple times.
Yeah. Love you, Susie. I know you're not watching, but still love you. Before we get started, the views and opinions expressed on this broadcast are not necessarily those of the SCV, its GEC, any division, brigades, camps, or other subsidiaries, strictly those of us who are expressing them. And Faversham Moose.
Faversham, GCB. How has your day been?
Less than mediocre, but it ain't going to do no good to complain about it. But it's a lot better now because it is Monday night. And on Monday night, we don't have anything planned.
Yeah, it kind of snuck up on us on accident. We thought we had something, but we didn't.
Well, we did, but it kind of fell through. That's one thing about this time of year. The SCV calendar works weird. April busy, June, July busy, August now busy. Thank you, Forrest. And then September slacks off. October, with my work schedule and fall muster busy, and then slacks off. Then it's Lee Jackson's season, then it slacks off, and it's just a fun calendar. But
oh yeah.
Anyway, hey,
she appears.
Glad
Connor
she
said bad things about you.
That was in the pre-show. Doesn't count. It doesn't count. But so yeah, tonight's just kind of an open forum. I do have, in case anything does happen, the ye old book of trivia.
Get the trivia going.
Oh, RS Jason Boshears is in the chat. Of course, tomorrow night we do have something special. I hope. Haven't talked to him this week to see, but we are planning on launching we were planning last week to launch their show, so hopefully it's still this week.
We've pushed it back a bit more. I got text confirmation before when we went live with Jason. We're having to push it back just a bit more, a couple more weeks to get everything situated. It has been, of course, due season for our lovely Tennessee Division adjutant, and of course, the Tennessee Division commander is recovering from surgery. So we've had to push it back a couple more weeks, but it will be coming soon.
Yeah, and that is a good thing to remind everybody that it is due season, so get to paying your dues, people.
Especially now, since you're in the grace period.
Yeah. It's end of the month. Grace period is over with, and specifically talking to the Mississippians, guys. Grace period is. We had our DEC meeting this past weekend, and Division Adjutant Mike Moore said the dues are coming in kind of slow. So pay your dues. Victor, pay your dues.
Victor, pay your dues.
Eric, you're a life member, so yeah.
Pay your dues, Eric. pay your camp dues.
Actually, I do. I owe Eric 2 cigars, which I won't see him probably till next spring. So remind me of that before then, Eric. But Eric hooked me up and helped me out on the Mississippi level. We are doing something very interesting with the cadet program. So we can go into that a little bit more, but Eric was able to send me a listing of cadets with Mississippi addresses. So I'm really, again, thank you for that. And we could even talk about that some if the chat wants to hear what our plan is. Because right now it's just we're planning to plan.
Yeah. Got some great ideas though coming down the pipe. It's just going to take time as always. I have my own Bobby Lee.
Hey, look at you. Little Rob is actually at my other office. So I need to bring him over here. I am in the middle of I'll tell him this moving homes. Um, now, and I'm having to. That's what I spend a lot of the day doing. Was trying to get from stuff that needs to come to the SCV office to the SCV office, stuff that needs to go to all the different locations, separate it out, and get ready for that. I'm excited, but still, it's always an interesting time when you move homes, and just like that, as soon as I get my new address, I will be updating my camp adjutant as well as the national organization about the move, about my new address, because I want to make sure I get my veteran. That's right. If you have moved and not gotten your veteran and haven't told anybody that you moved, kind of your fault. Step on some toes there, but we have the steps necessary for that to happen. So yeah, Jason and Lloyd. I saw this weekend that you were up there at the 163rd Cedar Mountain. Saw the pictures. It looked fantastic as always. Just like any other event, it looks like you do. I just hope that one day, when I can get more serious back into reenacting, I can do some events up that way with you. Because you look like y'all are having fun and are doing it on the authentic side of things. While I am by no means of the words am I a stitch counter, I do believe if we are going to represent the soldiers especially the Confederate soldier from the war between the states, that we should do it with the best of our ability, because that's where the world sees. Get the idea of what our ancestors looked like and fought through. So that's just my 2 cents on it. An ounce of research goes a couple of miles in that community. So, what you do today, Moose?
I finished editing, and I will be making that announcement soon. My brigade is about to have some challenge coins, and I don't know what my camp ones are going to be for yet. I don't even know if I'm going to sell them yet. I kind of just wanted to make them, but I am currently designing 2 challenge coins. So that, and kind of trying to get back in the swing of things. June and July were probably the busiest I have been in a while. And I know it's the 11th of August, but I still feel like I haven't recovered from June and July.
I feel you there, bud.
But we did have a great DEC meeting Saturday in the Mississippi Division. A lot of great stuff was accomplished, and a lot of stuff I'm really looking forward to. And I'm not going to share it on the show, but man, I can't wait till I can. I think we're really doing a lot of great stuff here.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've already alluded to somewhat to the cadet revamp that we're doing here in Mississippi. We're also going to go ahead. I'll go ahead and announce this because this is something that I'm working on. Is the Friends membership level. If you did not know, we have a Friends membership level for those that do not meet the genealogical qualifications or the gender qualifications for the Sons of Confederate Veterans. And it's called Friends of the SCV, and your money goes and helps the organization out. You get a nice certificate, you get a lapel pin, and you get the magazine. The only difference is you can't vote at reunion and things like that. So it's a worthwhile endeavor to join. So I would definitely encourage everyone who is interested in doing that. We only have, I believe, a handful of members from the Mississippi division that are friends. So I am trying to push and create a friends membership on the division level so that we can help grow the Mississippi representation as well as grow it for the national organization. And it's a good fundraiser for your division. That's the way I'm treating it here in Mississippi, is as a way for us to increase our operating expenses and stuff like that.
We figured out where the 2028 division reunion is going to be.
No, we haven't.
Yeah, we have 2028.
Oh, division,
not national. No.
Yeah, it'll be somewhere in Mississippi. We know that.
It'll be in the state of Mississippi.
Yeah, and so will the 2028 one.
Yeah. The division reunion will be in the division 2028 reunion hosted by my camp, the Samuel H. Poe Camp 255. Will be in Biloxi, Mississippi at Beauvoir.
Yeah, that's one of the things we're talking about with our cadet program is trying to get them involved. And Beauvoir has acres upon acres of beautiful land that it's a beautiful view. It's like somebody named it that. That is available for kids to run around and stuff like that. So yeah, it will be good. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to next year's reunion, especially now that we got some things answered this past weekend. So this weekend in Mississippi we have the Carl and Nancy Ford Memorial Southern History and Heritage Conference.
Second annual.
Yes. Last year was the inaugural. This year is the second annual. There's no such thing as a first annual. There's inaugural, and then there's but I digress. It is going to be a great weekend. If you are going to try to make it, reach out to me by tomorrow. So that we can make sure you're counted. Right now, we're up to about close to 50 on our numbers, which is almost doubled what we did last year. So I'm really, really excited about that. We'll have some speakers. We'll have some great food and fellowship. About 4 speakers, including myself. Still don't know what I'm going to talk about, though. So it'll be good. It'll be here in Jackson at the War Memorial Building, where I just happened to be able to broadcast from, which was SCV headquarters for a while before Dr. McCain, who is back in the office, as y'all could see over my shoulder. Oh, there will be breakfast and lunch. Thank you, Susie. I forgot that the lovely ladies of the OCR are making breakfast. I may or may not have been in the trail mix this afternoon, waiting on the show to start.
I got some moose munch from the California division. Do you want that?
No. I bet that it is fantastic, but I don't want to munch on moose.
Thank you.
That just sounds gross.
But it's been a good week. I am happy things are kind of starting to slow down though.
Yeah.
Very happy.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting some slowness. I love what we do, but there's some other stuff that happened in Mississippi this weekend that we're having to figure out on the fly, so to speak. But it'll be what it'll be. It'll all work out for good. Robert J. Simmons for happening our cause, the return of monuments, memorials, resurrection, Forest Plaza. Let's keep positive things happening and gather momentum. Amen. Well, we can go ahead and talk about one of the positive things that we discussed this past weekend. During my administration, the Division Executive Council had voted to proceed with erecting a monument to Black Confederate soldiers down in Beauvoir. Mm-hmm. And just you know how things are. It was close to the end of my administration. Things happen. transition of power, as well as working with Mississippi Department of Archives and History and the Board of Beauvoir. While it's a shared membership, it's two separate organizations. That's a long, hard way to explain. We could spend an entire episode on that, but we're not.
And you'll have multiple people give multiple answers.
Yeah.
Lovely.
But all that being said, the division is picking that project back up. So I'm really excited about it. We've kind of changed the design of it. So it's very cool. There are documented accounts of Black Confederate veterans that actually lived at Beauvoir when it was a veterans home. So there's good news about that. I'm really looking forward to that getting unveiled. That's going to, with the way we've discussed in our mind, it'll be a very, very interesting monument, and it'll be very well placed, very prominent location. So we're looking at that.
Mississippi's going to have a good year in that department. I hope so anyway.
Yeah. And also my most favorite job is chairman of the division, not only Division Heritage Operations Committee, but the Constitution and Bylaws Committee for the division. And I'm already working on 3 separate amendments to our Constitution. I'm hoping that it's not going to turn into 21.
Yeah, please no, not that again. I do have one I might submit.
Yeah, well,
I told you about it a couple years ago, and I've had some input from, surprisingly, I don't know if you remember it, you are one of them, and a couple other people gave me their input.
Well, I may have changed my mind since then, so remind me of what it is later.
All right, I think you'll like it.
I may not, who knows?
Who knows? The amendment could be, that if a certain member, a past commander-in-chief, shows up to a Mississippi Division reunion, he has to wear a T-Rex costume.
Well, or I don't think we could impose that. I would love to impose that, but I don't think we can. I'm going to speak on behalf of the committee, and our recommendations do not pass.
Okay, but we could put in a dress code and require everybody outside of the division.
All right, let's go ahead and pause. Let's go ahead and pause. I want you to revisit those first 2 words.
What?
Dress code?
Yeah.
Recommendation is do not pass.
Oh, come on. I think it'd be funny. Could you imagine?
No.
It'd be great if Carl came down to visit. And Carl has to buy the Constitution, wear a T-Rex costume to be entered into the.
So anyway, that's enough of that.
Okay. I'll make it an amendment to the standing orders.
We don't have any standing orders.
Oh. I'll make standing orders.
You're supposed to be making standing orders.
I am in the process, but
that's
I don't know. Yeah, no. Some people are about to be shocked by this, but I am the chief of protocol in the Mississippi Division, and I'm working on a big book. Something I'm very passionate about: the traditions and protocols of the Mississippi Division Sons of Confederate Veterans.
Yeah,
looking forward to that.
Kyle, that's a question for Adam. I think Adam is still recovering from his yard selling this past weekend.
No, it's got a picture of me on it. Adam, don't you do that to me.
But I don't think that's an artifact that we want to display.
SCV Chat was a popular show in the 2020s.
Keyword was.
This was the death nail. This moose chalice right here.
Yeah.
There will be a separate moose.
I'm again it.
Could you imagine that, though? A whole museum, and it's just like random pictures of me from SCV stuff. And I can guarantee you it'd be the worst.
Well, that's more of a art gallery.
It's an art gallery, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could give my onesie that's torn in half.
Kyle, I know it's very rare, but
it's a very rare and prestigious award.
Just get it insured for a couple million.
Split it with me, Kyle.
No, that's only if it gets broke, lost, or stolen. Which knowing our awards, the broke part is more likely what's going to yeah.
People will not pay to see that.
Hey,
oh
Chuck,
no.
Chuck, here's the thing. It's they don't pay to see it, they pay to leave.
It's just Adam at the door.
We get him in.
Pay to leave, ma'am.
We get him in there on the idea of a free museum about moose, and then we lock the doors and keep him in there.
So we got a couple.
Okay, Kayla.
Can that be a t-shirt? Adam chasing a rooster like in Rocky 2? I can make it happen.
I mean,
just give me a week.
It's what everybody.
That's the new t-shirt right there.
Okay, so
actually, okay. So two things real quick. First, Eric says we're having a time capsule. No, do not put me in there. No one wants to remember that I was part of this organization. And past Commander-in-Chief Paul Gramlin Jr. says, I get my own library after I'm CIC. Do I have to pay for this library? And I don't want to be CIC, first off.
The
organization would burn.
Yeah, Pauling.
This is a classic off the rails episode.
Yeah, it did go somewhere real quick, and it's always when Adam's involved. Kayla, do you really hate J-Bo? While you're answering that,
Kayla's here. We have a question. Why? No, not if. We know she hates her. Why do you hate Jason? The inquiring minds want to know.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I want that as one of our t-shirts now. Adam chasing a rooster on the back.
Paul gets a specialized museum showing his haberdashery. Well, Paul,
can we have the spam room, the Carl Jones spam room at National?
Well,
yeah, at least he's honest.
Yeah. Which
his feet can't touch the pedals. He's got the blocks like Short Round and Temple of Doom. I've seen him put them on. He has to sit up at the steering wheel like this. Mm-hmm.
Not only does he drive too slow, he types too slow.
All right, that's it. Me and you have been put on the do not reinstate list. But
no, it's just what I think is going to happen is we're going to need him to pull our bacon out of the fire because something's going to pop up. Like next week, I've got to go. I will not be on next week. Mississippi is in the middle of a heritage operations.
I got an idea to run by you on that next Monday episode.
I won't be here, so have
I know, but I mean, we're still a team. I still like having everybody in agreement.
I agree. Have at it.
All right. I know you're watching. Dr. Mitchum, how's next Monday?
Yeah, see, I agree. I'm for it.
Hey, no, a Dr. Mitchum episode is a Dr. Mitchum episode. I don't have to do any work.
So anyway, so things are happening in the Mississippi Division. If you want to go ahead and highlight things that are happening in your division, there just happens to be a show called Look Around the Confederation. It is every Thursday and Dr. Mitchum says, okay.
Hey, okay. We're having Dr. Mitchum on next Monday, everybody.
But it's every Thursday at 7 o'clock Confederate Standard or Confederate time, whether it's daylight or standard. So yeah, if you have things, announcements, events that you are wanting to promote for your division, please email Harrison at scvyouthOutreach@gmail.com to be featured on that. Of course, we do have, like we've talked about, Tennessee Tuesday that's about to kick off pretty soon with Jason Boshiers and Commander Josh Blankenship. So that will be pretty fun and interesting as well. So you'll hear what Tennessee's doing, as well as look around Florida with Sean McFall. So you can check those out and see what other divisions are doing, and try to get some ideas. So yeah, that's that or that. So
also, this week we do have the return of Commander's Comments, where you can get an update straight from National on what they are doing.
yeah, well, I mean, there's no other organization that I know of that you can be a part of and sit down and hear directly from your national equivalent of national president, and then go from there. Hear it and everything that goes along with it. So yeah, that's one thing that's special about our organization.
And it is.
So yeah, and then of course next Thursday after Commander's Comments, I believe we have a special, not this Thursday, but the next. The Arizona division actually has a project that they've been working on, and some of their compatriots will be on to discuss it. Correct?
Correct. I'm looking forward to having the Arizona division on next week. We are talking details right now about that episode, but it is confirmed that they will be on next Thursday.
So yeah, it'll be very, very, very good.
Yes, and I want to encourage y'all, if y'all are in the 5th Brigade in the Mississippi Division, or anybody really, to sign up for these training classes, because I'm going to be trying to go back to it. I went to one when I was adjutant, and so now I'm going to go as camp commander, get a different lens on things. I invited my camp adjutant to hop on with me. So if you have some officers in your camp, or if you're thinking about running, why don't you contact Eric Pervetti? It should be sent out, right? The information, Eric? We'll wait for Eric.
Yeah. Also, if you're a member of the Army of Tennessee, if you're not a part of the new Facebook group that Carl started, please see who is that so that you can get on there. There is a new announcement that came out about an AOT meeting that is going to be held next year in May. I thought it was the 2nd.
We'll pull it up and figure it out.
Carl will correct us, I'm sure. But more information about that will come as it's available. But definitely, if you are a member of the AOT, you need to be on that group so you can see what's going on. It's a great way to share ideas across the Army. A stronger Army makes a stronger Confederation for us all.
Let's see. We're scrolling. There's a Carl. Just wanted to put that picture up of Carl, the lovely Army of Tennessee commander.
And Eric is saying for more information about the how to get on his training, email membership at SCV May 2nd, 2026. I told you so.
Dig nabbit. But he did post something. Let's see here. The AOT reunion is going to be awesome. Rich Garcia, Forrest S. Dawes, Connor Bond, and Jimmy Hill will be speaking, and he is working on one more. That is a stacked lineup.
Well, Rich and Forrest, Jimmy. I don't know about me, but
no, I mean you're there.
Yeah, I'm there.
I mean, you host a show seen by millions every year.
Yeah,
you're famous. You're bringing in the crowd.
I'm infamous.
But it does sound like it's going to be a great meeting. I can't wait. I enjoy learning how to be a better officer, and I think this is for camp membership.
Specifically how to build a camp.
Okay, yeah. Those are some great minds right there. I'm gonna try to get up Friday night for sure now.
Yeah, and that's one thing I was going to mention. The way Carl has described it, and what I'm looking forward to, it sounds like it's going to be more like a miniature national reunion than an actual Army meeting. With the fact that there's a lot of planned fellowship and activities the night before the actual meeting kicks off.
Oh, I can't wait. That sounds like it's going to be a fun day of fellowship with my fellow Southern brothers, and of course, learning how to build a camp. I'm very excited for it. I can't wait to hear the ideas of everybody and just visit everybody. Carl says that is the goal. The AOT reunion. It's a good name for it. The ATM is having a field day April 18th at Mansfield.
So make sure that you are definitely following your Army pages.
Please.
Yeah. It's something you'll want to check out and stay a part of, and all the good things that come along with it.
Do you want to take a quick commercial break?
Sure. And when we get back, we're going to talk about I need practice giving this talk because I have to give it here in a couple of weeks. My talk on Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson, and what we can learn from their lives.
All right. By the way, remind me to tell you an idea about I have on the commercial breaks after we go off the air, because I keep forgetting.
Yes, and I'm glad that you mentioned our commercial break. Dr. Chris Cummins, who is our first Patreon level sponsor level member, he asked us to make one little change on the video. I did not get a chance to do it this week. So, Doc, I do apologize for that, but we will make it in the future. But our first sponsor, of course, is everybody on Patreon, but specifically our business sponsors this season is Dr. Chris Cummins's clinic there in Oxford. I thought I had it uploaded in here, but clearly it did not save. But check out Doc's clinic. The information was on the title slide. Doc, I do apologize for not having that uploaded. I thought I did, but sometimes things get deleted
by accident. But luckily, I think the idea I have. Oh, you got it.
Yep.
Hey, throw that up.
Yes, the CMCMD Clinic PLC, knee pain treatment specialist. That's what they absolutely specialize in. So if you are having knee pain, my mother's actually having some knee pain right now. So I may take her up to Ox Vegas and get her to see Doc and see if he can help her out
with some modern medicine and some Southern hospitality.
I've always been proud of my Confederate ancestry, but I never pursued becoming a member of the Sons of Confederate Veterans. It all changed in 2017 when I saw New Orleans take down their Confederate statues. Those monuments come down really lit a fire inside of me, and came to the conclusion I needed to join the Sons of Confederate Veterans. It's a domino effect. We give in on this, it's just a matter of time before they start taking down Thomas Jefferson and George Washington. We need to draw the line in the sand right now. These are our Confederate monuments, these are our Southern heroes, and you're not going to take them down. Our museum is going to be funded 100% by the Sons of Confederate Veterans. The history, the narrative that we present will be the narrative that we write. So it will be our story, our museum. right now, if we do not protect our heritage and present it as it truly was, it's going to be lost forever. We're going to tell the true story here. I'm Adam Southern, and I'm a proud descendant of Private Alfred D. Southern, a Confederate veteran.
Adam.
Boy, Adam got old.
Dang. I love you, Adam. I appreciate the.
I didn't say I didn't appreciate him. I like Otis more, but
Where is it? I appreciate you, Adam.
yeah.
You know what?
So,
I'll be right back. You go ahead.
so Jerry, the AOT is going to meeting is going to be in Wetumpka, Alabama, I believe. More information will be put out in detail later on. So yeah. Anyway, so Robert E. Lee and Stonewall Jackson is probably, in most Southerners' top two generals in the war between the states. Of course, their partnership is a book actually came out a little while ago, a couple years ago, called The Greatest Partnership. I had a copy of said book and I lent it to somebody and he sold it. He has gone off screen, or else he would be able to hear. He would be able to hear Chuck. Yeah, I'm so glad that you got your Adam Southern baseball card.
I appreciate you, Adam, the baseball Hall of Famer.
Hey, mine is actually autographed. But it was the greatest partnership in military history, especially when you look at that partnership. That partnership was only a couple of months, not even a full year in age. When you study Robert E. Lee and Stonewall Jackson's entire life, it's very interesting on the similarities between them. Of course, obviously the first, both men being from Virginia and being proud Virginians. They both had something to do with John Brown. Robert E. Lee, of course, captured John Brown, and Stonewall Jackson commanded the Corps of Cadets when John Brown, from VMI, when John Brown was hung. So those end up matching up together. But when studying them, there are multiple lessons that we can learn from their lives, but there's 4 that I really want to talk to you about tonight. And of course, with any time that I'm talking about our Confederate ancestors, I always like to bring out my favorite quote from William Shakespeare. Shakespeare wrote, I believe, in Twelfth Night, "Be not afraid of greatness. Some men are born great, some men achieve greatness, other men have greatness thrust upon them." And to me, that represents not only the vast majority of our Confederate ancestors, but also it represents the lives of Robert E. Lee and Stonewall Jackson. Lee and Jackson represent it because, some men are born great. If you look at the history of Virginia, and remember what we've covered on this show before in the past, specifically in our Revolutionary War episodes, we spent a bunch of time talking about Light Horse Harry Lee, who was Robert E. Lee's father, of course. But we also spent time talking about Richard Henry Lee, the Virginian who proposed America's original secession, the idea that the 13 colonies should of right ought to be free and independent states, free from the yoke of Great Britain. The reason why we celebrate the 4th of July is because of a Southerner. But that was Lee's family. Lee, of course, married the step-granddaughter of George Washington, essentially becoming part of, or the granddaughter of Martha Washington. Becoming a part of the American aristocracy. There's a video out there that talks about if America had been a monarchy, who would have been king, and followed all that. And they even talk about how Robert E. Lee was a part of. This is from a Yankee video. Talking about that, though, they talk about how Lee was a part of that. Now, on the other hand, Stonewall Jackson Jackson was born into relative obscurity. Jackson came from Scotch-Irish, just like many of us in the South did, ancestors. Lee came from the Cavaliers, of course, the Lees of Old Virginia, but Jackson was that Scotch-Irish. He's from what is now West Virginia, which it's not legally a state, but that's a topic for another time. Jackson was an orphan by the age of, I believe, 14. Pulling that off of memory, so I may be wrong. I may be getting him confused with William Barksdale. At the age of 7, and Jackson went to live with his uncle Cummins Jackson at Jackson's Mill there in Western Virginia. Jackson did not have a formal education, whereas Lee was able to get somewhat of a formal education. However, their lives begin getting together or close together, tying closer together at West Point, which brings us to the first thing that we can learn from Lee and Jackson's life, is that education is one of the most important things that we can have. In this war that we're in right now, education is, hold on y'all a second. Education is very important. It is very key to our struggle. We often talk about how our current ammunition is money in most of our heritage fights, and that is true. However, while dollars and bucks may be bullets, education is our bayonet, in my humble opinion. Robert E. Lee famously said that the education of a man is not completed until his death. Both men valued education. Jackson, of course, he begins his education career, as I mentioned, as very rudimental, very, very Western, and not like Old West Western. Okay. Paul, sorry. Education is, sorry. Harrison sent me a message behind the scenes and it made me lose my train of thought. Bad news. Anyway, Jackson gets an appointment. Well, let me digress back to Lee. Lee, of course, as we know, at West Point, was known as the Marble Cadet. He never got a single demerit. Graduated second in his class at West Point, and of course, went into the prestigious engineering corps. Jackson, surprisingly, at West Point, the first couple of years, Jackson actually got second place for his appointment in the United States Military Academy. The United States Military Academy, you have to be appointed by a congressman. And Jackson got second place, and the guy who originally got the appointment couldn't hack it. So he goes to the congressman that gave him the appointment, and while there, tells him that, hey, this guy backed out. I was second place. I need to fulfill the. Thank you for that weather report, Carl. That's really what had me sidetracked, y'all, was figuring out a way how to make Moose laugh. So Jackson, placed high value on that education. Jackson ends up getting several demerits his first year at West Point, but it wasn't for disciplinary issues like many other cadets of his class. The issues that Jackson was getting demerits on was things like lights on after dark, messy uniforms, things of that nature. And the historian Bud Robertson, who wrote the Jackson biography, the big thick one, he was actually able to go and be an adjunct professor at West Point, and was able to, while he was writing the book, study Jackson's transcripts. And he sees that Jackson, or he believes that it's because Jackson did not have the formal background on education, but he was trying to get there. And it's indeed proven that by his third and fourth year, he is one of the top cadets. His third and fourth year, he does not get a single demerit. at West Point. He thrives, and many people in his class say that had they gone another year, he would have graduated top of his class. Jackson goes to become an artilleryman. After the Mexican War, Jackson and Lee both become educators. Jackson, of course, at VMI, but Lee at the superintendent of West Point. Now, spoiler alert, Jackson does not survive the war. And upon the ending of, so he doesn't go back to VMI to be a professor. However, Lee does survive the war, and he moves to Jackson's hometown of Lexington and becomes a teacher or a president of Washington College, now Washington Lee University. And redoes the curriculum and essentially creates the modern curriculum that most Southern colleges still follow to this day, especially the code of honor there at Washington and Lee, which was still being followed. One thing I mentioned about Jackson's rudimentary education, there are stories about Jackson ending up as a young student going to the one-room schoolhouse and having to, when he learned how to read and everything like that, making a deal with one of his uncle's servants. He would teach him how to read in exchange for lighter knot to keep the fire going there at their fireplace so that he could read at night. I don't know how truthful it is, but those stories do exist. The second thing that we can learn from Jackson and Lee is to do our duty in all things. Robert E. Lee said that duty is the most sublime word in the English language. The Jackson's famous for saying that often saying that the duty is ours, the consequences are God's. And these two men, and is probably influenced by their time at West Point, had a profound sense of duty. Both of them, when the war came in 1861 and Virginia seceded from the Union after the firing on Fort Sumter and Lincoln's illegal call for 75,000 volunteers, they both felt like their duty was to Virginia first and foremost. And when the time came, Lee, of course, was offered the position of command of the federal armies, and he viewed his duty was to his country, to his home, to Virginia. So he stayed the course with his people. Jackson likewise, believed that. But if we look really into Lee's life for that, Lee was, as I mentioned a minute ago, he was the number one. Winfield Scott said if there was if there's to be, excuse me, trying to pull the quote out of my head. If I had to suggest a general to lead troops in a battle, I would say let it be Robert E. Lee or something along those lines. Lee was, and I heard one of the past commanders in chiefs in a speech years ago at Jefferson Davis's graveside talking about Robert E. Lee. He hearkened him to Moses, or compared him to Moses from the Old Testament, saying that, in the Old Testament, Moses was, he was the son of Pharaoh. He was the one that would have led the Egyptians. He'd have been taught the most advanced mathematics of his time. He would have been trained from birth to lead armies. However, when time came and God put that calling on his life, Moses decided to stay with his people, or throw his lot in with his people. And Robert E. Lee did the same thing. He did his duty to what he believed was, and what we believe is correct, for his home. Jackson, if you want to look at another example of duty in his life, we need to look at the Mexican-American War. Jackson was a lieutenant of artillery outside of, I believe this was Battle of Monterey. I may be wrong. But while he is out there, he's commanding his artillery battery, and his battery is in a precarious situation. They're being shelled left and right, and Jackson is ordered to, or not ordered, but Jackson is other men are telling him to withdraw. He is seeing the line faltering, but Jackson rides out in front of his guns, inspires his men, and he says, no, we have a duty to hold here for the rest of the army in order to win this battle. And of course, we did win the battle. But that was Jackson's idea of duty. He was willing to put himself and his men in harm's way to achieve what needed to be achieved. Next is education, do your duty in all things. Next is, in the face of overwhelming odds, do not show fear. And for that, the example out of both of their lives come at their the climax of their partnership, and that's at the Battle of Chancellorsville. If you remember, the Confederate Army is outnumbered roughly, some say almost 3 to 1 at that battle. This is right after the winter campaign. Fredericksburg had happened the previous winter. Longstreet is in North Carolina, and this is before the reorganization of the Army. Robert E. Lee had 2 wings of his army. He had Longstreet's wing and he had Jackson's wing. So he sends Longstreet's wing down to North Carolina to fight off a little invasion down there, as well as to be able to be supplied from the Carolinas for that winter, because there were not enough supplies in that portion of Northern Virginia to supply both the civilian population and the army. So the army, moves on out there. Before he can recall the army, Joe Hooker, who was appointed by Lincoln to be command of the Federal Army of the Potomac, splits his troops and goes and decides to outflank Robert E. Lee. And he does. And Robert E. Lee is caught between 2 wings of the Federal Army. Now, most people would retreat at that moment, but Lee and Jackson devise a council of war. Jackson asks Lee to send out Stuart. Stuart and his cavalry discover that the Federal right flank is up in the air. And instead of, listening to their fears and taking heart of their fears, they then decide that no, what they're going to do is Jackson's going to take his majority of the army, move around the Federal outflank the flankers, and end up trying to push them back. And of course it works. Now, sadly for the Confederacy, it's at the cost of Jackson's own life. Jackson, of course, ends up being wounded, catching pneumonia. I believe it's because he believed in hydrotherapy, and ended up trying to put cold compresses on his bruised side. And when he did, that's what caused the pneumonia to set in. But he ends up passing away. And for the past 160 years, we ask ourselves, what if? What if Jackson would have lived? What would have been different? Would anything have been different? What would have happened if Jackson was at Gettysburg? But again, most military doctrine would have said, especially that of that time, that we need to go ahead and withdraw and redeploy and try to get somewhere with more safety, but not for Jackson, not for Lee. They were outnumbered, they were outgunned, yet they did not show fear in overwhelming face of the enemy, and they continued on and won the singular greatest victory in the war. The final thing that we can learn from them, which I normally lead off with, but it's definitely not least, is the idea that we must put God first in everything that we do. There's a quote out of one of Paul's letters: "If God is for us, who can be against us?" And indeed, that is true. If God is for us, who is against us? And we must first put God first, and we must give him the glory for all the victories and go to him in prayer before we go through everything. Whether it's a heritage fight, whether it's giving a speech, whatever, we have to do that. We have to seek his blessing in order for us to get it. And we cannot rely on ourselves saying that we got the victory. No, we're only able to win our heritage battles because God grants us the victory. But still, I digress back to the main point of it. We have to put God first in everything. Lee and Jackson did. As we all know, Jackson and Lee were great examples of Christian men. Jackson really came to faith after the Mexican War. And after the Mexican War, he began trying to discover what religion or what denomination, rather, he really belonged to. There's stories that during the occupation of Mexico City, Jackson actually sought out the bishop of the Cathedral of Mexico City to discuss, the high points of Catholicism. And Jackson ends up finding the Presbyterian Church, though. And the Calvinist ideas of the Presbyterian Church really appealed to Jackson, the idea that everything is preordained and predestined. Jackson ends up actually marrying 2 women. The first wife died in childbirth, and along with a child. And the second wife ends up surviving him and was known as the widow of the Confederacy. But they were both daughters of Presbyterian ministers. Jackson was an elder in the Presbyterian Church, and Jackson, as we've discussed on the Jackson 200 video, actually funded out of his pocket a black Sunday school class to teach the word. And in fact, there is a church in Virginia that has a stained glass window that traces its roots back to Jackson's Sunday school class, and how many generations of people can now thank the good Lord in heaven that Jackson did that and shared the gospel with them. Jackson, in the winter of 1862 going into 1863, actually takes money out of his own pocket and funds his personal chaplain, the brother Reverend Tucker Lacey, to go out into the army and to create chaplains for the different regiments. Jackson's doing that essentially started the great revival that happened in the Confederate Army. Jackson, it's reported that during those times, Jackson would ride through the camps, and during the camp or during on Sundays when the men were in service, and we would attend different religious or denominational services. He may be in a Baptist service one Sunday and a Presbyterian the next, and Methodist the next. And young men, being who they are and being rambunctious and away from home for the first time, would often be rowdy and disrespectful. However, there are multiple accounts from soldiers' diaries that when those young men would walk by, the pickets would look at them and say, "Hey, y'all need to be quiet and respectful. Old Jack," which is what has been called them, "is in there praying for you." And they would hang their heads in shame, and they would continue on silently and reverently. Lee, of course, was a fine Christian man as well. During the war, after the Battle of Gettysburg, the very next battle before the Army of Northern Virginia went into winter quarters was the Battle of Mine Run. And at Mine Run, it is recorded that Lee was riding and inspecting the lines and looked down upon some group of soldiers praying, and his staff officers continued to ride on. They continue to ride on for a little while, and yet they stop. And when they do stop, they realize they're missing somebody. They're missing Robert E. Lee. How do you lose Robert E. Lee? That is my question. So anyway, they end up backtracking, and they find Lee sitting, kneeling with those men praying, and what could have been their last prayers before, exiting this mortal coil, before crossing the rivers, as Jackson said, and resting under the shade of the tree. Lee, of course, as we've mentioned, goes on to the Washington College presidency, and while there, he is talking to a faculty member who essentially asks, what do you want for all your students? And Lee says, what I want is for all of my students to become good Christian men. Of course, it was not a co-ed college at the time. So that speaks highly of Lee's character, of course. Lee goes on, before he passes away, is actually at a vestry meeting of the church, the Episcopal Church there in Lexington, before when he gets essentially what many people believe he had his stroke and ended up passing away from. So those are 4 things that we can learn from Lee and Jackson's lives. First and foremost, put God first in everything. Second, do not take countenance of your fears in the face of overwhelming odds. Stand firm, stand your ground, do your duty in all things, and importantly, be educated. Know how we, know things. Be educated, understand things, and here's the reason why. A couple weeks ago, before our season break, we talked about the plan that the SPLC has put out in regards to how to remove a Confederate monument. And one of the things that they say is for them to understand where the history of the monument. Well, we need to know the history of our monument more than they do. That is a key point of education, knowing that. The next thing is the ability to be able to, we're charged, by SD Lee to vindicate the cause for which our ancestors fought. How can we vindicate the cause for which our ancestors fought if we do not know what that cause is, if we do not understand why they fought, where they came from, things of that nature? That's all education. That's why education is important for the SCV. Again, I got on why we should put God first. He gives us the victories. He allows us to be able to be victorious when we save a monument or when something happens. And we should give God the glory, whether it is a monument being re-erected, whether it's a successful reunion, what have you. We need to do that. We need to, and we do that, but we cannot forget to do that. That's why one thing I'm really, really happy to see continued on this year. In South Carolina, we began singing the doxology before the beginning of the business session. I'm really thankful that Michael Hurley continued that tradition this year. Do not be afraid of overwhelming odds. I mean, I don't know if y'all need to hear this from us. Where have y'all been the past couple of years? Because we are outnumbered. Surprise, surprise, surprise. We've always been outnumbered. And we cannot afford to let the fear of being outnumbered influence how we react to certain things. We're always going to be out. Our ancestors were outnumbered. All God's children is outnumbered. So we cannot be afraid of that. And that should, if anything, if our ancestors can sit there and fight at the bloody angle, outnumbered for 24 hours, letting it go hand-to-hand combat, and to where the point they're standing in ankle-deep blood, or despite being outnumbered, they can sit in the freezing cold during the winter and the starving at Petersburg, or countless other stories that we have about our ancestors. If they can do it outnumbered, we can do it outnumbered.
Yeah.
And finally, it's do your duty in all things. We each have a duty. We have a duty to our ancestors. We have a duty to our descendants. That's one thing we talked about with the cadet program, is that, yes, we emulate our ancestors, but we are the ancestors for the cadets. They look to us to, how to act, how to treat our ancestors with reverence, how to do everything that we need to do. So we have a duty to the past as well as to the future. We have a duty, and it doesn't matter whether you're commander in chief or whether you just joined the organization, just turned in your paperwork yesterday. You have a duty and responsibility. The biggest one at this time of the years is what, Moose?
Dues.
Yes. We all have a duty right now to pay our dues, to pay them on time. Our camp adjutants, our division adjutants, should not have to go and track you down. You know that national dues are X. you know that division dudes are Y, and you know that camp dudes are Z. You get a piece of paper in the mail. You know that they are due every year at this time. Now, I am not a poor, broke college student. Thank God for that. I am a poor,
Sucks.
broke government employee that gets paid once a month. But I know my dues come due every year during this time. Set aside some of it for whatever. You know, if you know that it's going to cost, you know, in Mississippi's case, on average, $55, go ahead and save your $55. Forrest talked about this past Saturday that that, you know, he's addicted to Diet Dr. Pepper, and that's his big addiction. I'm addicted to nicotine. I dip snuff. If y'all couldn't tell for the past 5 years, I don't know where you've been, but yeah, that is my thing. It calms me down and makes me deal with moose easier and nicer. But I'm paying on average $3 a can. So if I take $55 and I divide it by $3 a can, that's 18 cans. That's half a month. You know, which granted, I went ahead and got my National Life membership and my Division Life membership, so I wouldn't have to worry about, you know, remembering to pay dues. But, you know, you can do that if that's, you know, your thing. If you're forgetful like I am, but pay your dues.
Yes.
It's as simple as that. If your camp is doing something, whether, you know, if y'all are having a recruiting booth and it's one Saturday, you know, give up that Saturday. If your division is hosting, I don't know, an education seminar where they're going to be talking about, you know, the South's beautiful and rich history, more than just 1861 to 1865, but the entire history, starting in about depending on which talk I give, either the 1700s or the 1600s, you know, show up to it, support those guys. If a camp next to you, it may not even be your own home camp, but if the camp one county over is having a memorial service, go support them. Yeah, it's basic little things that we can do that are part of our duty as a fraternal organization to help each other out.
Yes. Please support each other and pay dues on time.
Yeah, Sarah, I've tried bourbon, and bourbon gets me drunk, and that's not. Nobody wants that. I've tried bourbon on this show.
That was not a good idea.
It was a great idea. That was a fun episode.
I don't know if we should look back at it.
No, it was one of our Christmas episodes. It was like our first Christmas episode. So, like I said, that's just me dusting that off because I have to give that talk in a couple of weeks, and I wanted to make sure I still remembered everything. And I think I did. So,
yeah, good.
But
good
it's
talk.
good for us to it's good for us to remember that, to think about that. You know, to be reminded of what, you know, what we can do, what our ancestors did, and things of that nature. So, you know what another part of your duties are?
What?
If you're wanting to support SCV Chat, share these episodes out. If you're wanting to be informed, read your veteran and look around and watch Commander's comments.
Please.
So, you know, that's, you know, it's the little things. But, you know, we imagine if 1/3 of our membership, you know, paid their dues on time, how much easier that would make things on headquarters. How much easier that would make it on your division adjutant or your camp adjutant. Imagine how much more, you know, projects and things of that nature. You know, if you're sitting there, you know, you don't think your camp's doing enough, you pay your dues, and then pay them on time. That gives your adjutant a chance to do something other than, you know, harp on, pay your dues. I mean, it also helps, if you have camp dues, helps fund your camp so that y'all can do other projects. And, the other big thing is if you do want to see change in the organization, or you want to see change on your camp, be the change.
Mm.
Miss Sarah, I knew you and Frank would appreciate that plug for the veteran. Frank works very hard on it, and he does not get enough credit for the hard work that he does.
No, he does not. Bless that man.
I mean, I understand why he has to yank his shirt off in the middle of national reunion at a time.
Can that be a T-shirt? Frank ripping a T-shirt, the Hulk Hogan style.
I'm looking, and yes, Frank and Miss Sarah are both coming down to Mississippi to speak. Frank will speak, and Miss Sarah will be our one of our lovely distinguished guests, and we're looking forward to them coming and speaking. So, yeah, that's.
I can't wait to hear.
I can't either.
Frank. No. All right. Miss Sarah has vetoed the chat shirt.
Frank shirtless shirt.
Editor-in-Chief Franklin Power doing the Hulk Hogan rip. I think it would sell.
I'm surprised nobody asked why we have 2 stars and stripes behind me.
You know what, Connor? Why do we have 2 stars and stripes behind you?
Because the Mississippi division this past year at our division reunion decided to adopt in lieu of the 50-star federal flag for the next couple of years, the Betsy Ross flag. Because it is an American flag, but also we're in the 250th anniversary of the War for American Independence. And the South played a pivotal role in that role for independence. So it is our belief, and they inspired most of our Confederate ancestors to go and fight. Same causes that motivated them in 1776 motivated their sons and grandsons in 1861. And if the South was right if America was right in 1776, then America must have been right. Or Moose, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, the South was right in 1861 because America was right in 1776.
Right. So if that is the case, then it is fitting for us to go ahead and honor those sacrifices, and have that flag.
I mean, I'm very proud of our division for doing that, honoring our the ancestors of our ancestors. Or, as we put it when we did the show, the heroes of our heroes.
Heroes, right. So that is that's why we have it goes Betsy Ross, state flag, 3rd National, 50-star battle flag, and then Bonnie Blue. I've got the 1st National and 2nd National over on the other side. Just couldn't make them all fit, especially with Doc.
Audrey's doing well. Thank you for asking, Commander.
So, anyway, so next week you're going to have Dr. Mitchum on talking about something that Dr. Mitchum wants to talk about.
Yes, we'll be having Dr. Mitchum on. We'll be sharing news on that shortly because I do remember what he wanted to talk about, but I'm not going to say it just in case I'm wrong. But we did talk about him coming on a while ago, so I think I know. But it's going to be a great episode. I can't wait. I'll be sharing that out shortly. And again, Wednesday is Look Around Florida. So make sure to check that out. And of course, this Thursday, instead of Look Around the Confederation, we'll be having Commander Comments, where you get an update from your Commander-in-Chief, Walter D. Donnie Kennedy, about the National Organization of the Sons of Confederate Veterans. So make sure to tune into that. And while you're at it, share this episode out. Hey.
Please. We're looking forward to that, and I agree with cousin Charles there that we should, I believe, Moose, pull up our bonfire.
All right.
How can people access? We've talked about T-shirts and putting Frank on a T-shirt and everything like that. But for those that may not know where to get our T-shirts, the easiest way is to go to scvchat.com and then go under Support Us and Support Us. And when you go there, you will see.
Let me pull it up. It's coming. Almost there. Voila. You will see first our lovely Patreon for $10 a month. You can support us.
Or 30.
Or 30, and you get some merchandise.
Merch. Yeah, merch you cannot get anywhere else.
And of course, you get the $80 sponsorship tier, which shows you in the beginning of the show and the middle of the show. But if you scroll down, you get to see our lovely chat store. If you want to see the overall store, just click on the SCV Chat logo right here, the red shirt. But if you're looking for a specific shirt, don't worry. You can go down below and click on any of these shirts and be taken immediately to our store.
Yeah, so if you look at them, I believe there is one. Scroll up. Oh, right there.
Ooh.
And of course, we have one of our Thomas. I can't even remember the quote we did from Jefferson.
The Jefferson quote is, "A true patriot will defend his country from his government."
So, yeah, of course, our Jeff Davis, Leave Dixie Alone, Robert E. Lee, one of the duty quotes on there. Another quote with Lee and Liberty. They're talking about Lee when we're mentioning it, being the son of Light Horse Harry Lee and related to Richard Henry Lee. He was instilled with a love of liberty. Do you ever buy your Pat Claiborne one?
I haven't bought my Pat Claiborne one yet, but I think I might use that money I've saved up to get the Right in 61 because of 76. It is the year for that shirt, or coming up anyway. And so I might go ahead and get that shirt. And I highly encourage everybody to get the Right in 61 shirt because of 76 shirt. And let's get some people talking about it. Why are we wearing that shirt? This is a year that we could get a lot of eyes on the SCV because of the 250. So we need to take full advantage of that.
Mm-hmm.
So get the shirt and start a conversation. And Dr. Mitchell will be talking about Confederate generals and Union generals. His latest book. The man's a book-making machine.
Remember, David put out there that if you are a member of the Friends of Douglas Southall Freeman, there will not be a show this upcoming Friday due to some scheduling things. But we still have plenty of other ways for you to tune in and support the cause. So do something this week, guys. Do your duty. Pay your dues. Pay your dues. Pay your dues. Like I said, I will not be on next week. I will be at a city council meeting for Brandon, trying to defend our monument. We got some good things looking out of that. So I'm looking forward to where we are going on that. So it'll be fun. If you are in Mississippi and want to know how you can help, my email should have been sent out on the dispatch, or contact me on Facebook. I'll send you my email address, and we'll send out something to remind people, So
sounds like a plan. Thank you all for watching. And we'd like to, of course, thank our lovely Patreon members for supporting us and our sponsors. Do you have anything else?
You want me to tell the story how you really got the nickname Moose?
No. So, in the words of the late, great Harold Philpott, remember, chat heads, no fumar in the elevator.
What does that mean? Means Redder Frop.
Riff Rock.